Today, we're talking about sports card content thieves on YouTube, and it's a pretty disappointing one because it does in fact relate to Market Movers, aka a channel owned by Jeff Wilson, aka the sports card investor, and it's pretty damn disappointing in my opinion because it's very much a larger channel taking advantage of a smaller channel in my opinion. And I want to share my thoughts as we do talk through this one because it's something that happens quite a lot within this space, and it's pretty damn disappointing, especially when the person on the victim end is somebody that works really hard for their content and is someone that's trying to make a living off the back of it. So the lack of attribution and content thievery is pretty piss poor in my opinion. Now, this does in fact relate to Trike Sports Cards on YouTube. I'm not sure if you guys have seen him before, but I really like his stuff. He has 30,000 subscribers, Trike 415 Sports Cards. He essentially does vlogs, goes to shows and things like that, does challenge videos every now and then, does some other pretty cool insights, and I really like his approach to things. Like, yes, he is the cliche vlogger, but his editing is on point and he seems like a genuine dude. He seems really nice and seems to be a buck from the norm of degenerate card show vloggers. This guy seems very, very genuine. I've actually bought a card off him in the past and he was really good to deal with, gave me a really good deal. And yeah, pretty disappointed to sort of see this happen to him. And it does relate to this video over here where he sort of put out something about 5 months ago. We got 185,000 views, which is a pretty big deal for the sports card space, about him trying to make money buying retail sports cards. And he puts out this video, like you can sort of see over here, goes for 13 minutes and has a bit of fun with it. And it's pretty cool in my opinion, the video. So if you haven't seen it, please do check it out. But what sort of transpired in the last 24 hours was that Market Movers came out with a video themselves that was basically the same thing. Can you profit buying retail sports cards? Now, because our niche is so small, because sports cards is so small when it comes to content creation, there's going to be a lot of overlap. I'll get to that in a second. But as you saw, even with the thumbnail, it's very, very similar. And as of right now, there is no attribution for Market Movers to say they got the video idea or the thumbnail inspiration from Trike, which is pretty disappointing to see because clearly, they would have known that this was the case. And the reason why I'm a bit confident on that is how similar the thumbnails are. So this is Trike's Instagram story from about 12 hours ago. And as you can see, again, the two thumbnails are near identical. You've got Trike over here, Teapot over here from Market Movers, holding cards, holding boxes of cards. Target, this time they've gone for warm-up because they want to try and differentiate. Red text on top, green text on bottom. Clearly, this video over here has taken inspiration from Trike's one. And this stuff is quite disappointing to see, for a multitude of reasons. Obviously, Market Movers is a smaller channel than Trike's, but like it says over here, Market Movers is by sports card investors. So you've got a very large channel sort of doing this and failing to attribute is pretty poor in my opinion. Now, obviously, stuff like this can happen by mistake, but when you look at the thumbnail, I think it's pretty clear cut that inspiration was taken. And I've always been a bit shocked when people sort of take inspiration in this space but fail to do a shout out. And the reason why this is disappointing is because, Trike, his name's Troy, has obviously put in a lot of effort for his channel, right? I'm pretty sure he does this full time. So sort of go through all that effort and make something that goes somewhat viral, and that is considered viral in my opinion for the sports card space. But to put all that effort in and then sort of have somebody come in and steal your thunder, especially when it's, a very large presence within this space, aka Market Movers, aka sports card investor, it's a bit of a kick in the guts, especially for guys like him, like I said, that do this full time, that are putting in all this effort. They sort of want the credit back to them. And I've always been a bit, amused, or I've always found that a bit amusing, I should say, that people don't attribute. People will intentionally not attribute in this space, and I don't understand why. Like, what is wrong with these guys saying that we took inspiration from Troy in this particular video? There's no harm in doing that. Like, you saying his name is not going to degrade your video. It's going to elevate both of you guys because it's going to maybe take your viewers to his and maybe vice versa, right? Collaborate, work together, shout each other out like I do on this channel, and then, you build each other up, you grow the hobby, all that kind of stuff. But to sort of not do it is pretty disappointing. And like I sort of alluded to, this niche is quite small, so it's quite common for overlap to happen. And the video idea in of itself might not be new. People before Troy may have done that kind of video idea as well, but just the fact that thumbnails are so similar just seems very, I don't want to say unethical, but just not something you like to sort of see. It doesn't pass the smell test, doesn't pass the pub test, and it's not the good bloke thing to be doing. And I want your guys' thoughts sort of down below, because like I've sort of mentioned before, I've had this happen to me a heck of a lot on this channel. Like, I've only got 7,000 subscribers. That's a heck of a lot in of itself, and I'm very thankful for each and every one of you. But there's so many times in the past where I've, called out a scam or investigated a story and actually discovered something for myself and put all this effort in to put it out there, and then somebody goes ahead and takes that same video idea or takes my story and then doesn't mention me. And, you know, for me personally, I do this as a hobby, right? This is a part-time thing. I don't do it for money or anything like that. So the credit is not the biggest deal for me. Like, people not getting flooded to my channel is not the biggest deal for me, but I look at it through my own personal lens of, well, my information is always unbiased. I try to present things balanced. So, you know, I want the people to be coming to me for those stories for that reason. But when you've got people that are sort of taking my idea and passing it off as their own, they're not going to share the things with you in the same way. So then the actual benefit to the story I've raised gets lost along the way, if that makes sense. But for someone like Troy, it's even worse because he looks like he's somebody that does this for a living. He sells cards for a living. He makes content for a living, or so it seems. So for him to be impacted, it's impacting his bottom line. And I just don't understand why people don't attribute. You know, I attribute all the time. You guys get sick of it. I get so many comments with people saying you don't need to shout out this person all the time, or you don't need to mention them all the time. But I mention them for a reason, because they put in the effort. They deserve the shout out. And by me mentioning them, it's going to take some of you guys as viewers to their channel. It means they're going to grow, and then, you know, vice versa. And we sort of strengthen the hobby, right? We're all in this together. It's one community. So when you sort of see this happen, it's pretty disappointing. And, you know, being a small channel, most importantly, and then seeing this happen is pretty damn disappointing, because you're out there trying to make content, trying to get noticed, trying to get your voice heard, and then a bigger channel comes in, kicks you in the guts and steals your idea and doesn't attribute you, and then, you know, they get to go on and grow with it. It's just a pretty crappy thing to do, in particular with this story, right, where it's market movers, sports card investor, arguably the biggest presence within this content creation space for sports cards. So it's not on, in my opinion. It's pretty crappy to see, and one of those ones that I really want to hear what you guys have to say below. Now, unfortunately, this isn't the first time it's happened to Troy. There was actually a video maybe 2 months ago that I was actually going to do a video on, where a guy that was around the same size as him took his video idea and didn't just take the idea behind the video, actually stole the talking points for the video. And if you played the first 60 seconds side by side, they were near identical. And people called this guy out, and he tried to play it off as, you know, we both came up with the same idea, blah, blah, blah. But he has since provided attribution on that, so I'm not going to call him out in this particular instance. But one of those ones where it happens all the time. So if you do see it, guys, please call it out. Say, did you take this idea from this person? And like I said a little bit earlier, there's a lot of overlap in this space, particularly with my niche, where it's like talking about news and scammers and all that kind of stuff. But even with, you know, vloggers, because there's only so many ways you can make vlogging content at a national or at a card show, right? You're going to be showing what you're buying, you're going to be showing what you're selling, you're going to be setting up as a dealer, you're going to be doing challenges. So you're going to see overlap, but it's when it sort of goes beyond that, in my opinion, that it's pretty poor form. And, you know, this is just a bit of a shitty thing to do. And if it was intentional, why not just come out and say it was intentional and give the guy attention? Give him the attribution and say, within the first 10 seconds of the video, we're going to do this. We've taken inspiration from Trike. We really like his content. Check it out, but let's go ahead and try and do it for ourselves. Because clearly they've done it, you know, 6 months after the fact. So maybe it is still worth watching, because there's going to be newer content. You can sort of see over here the Caitlin Clark boxes. You know, it's got a fresh spin on it. Just mention the guy. Why are you so afraid to mention his name? Now, from my own perspective, I'm going on a rant now. I know why it happens to me, because people don't like to associate themselves with my channel purely because I call everybody out, whether it's good, bad, ugly, I call it out, right? But there's people out there that are getting paid, they're sponsored for, so they're very hesitant to go ahead and actually do that. But for stuff like this, where's the harm in actually giving this guy attribution? And I should quickly say, you know, maybe it wasn't intentional on Teapot's behalf. He's the guy that's in the thumbnail for Market Movers. He's the guy that runs the Market Movers channel, or at least is in the videos. Maybe it was somebody behind him that said, you know what, today you're going to make this video idea, and then that same person is the one that's gone ahead and made the thumbnail. So maybe we shouldn't be placing blame on him. Maybe we shouldn't be placing blame on Jeff Wilson, because he's, you know, at an arm's length, you know, transaction when it comes to this. But it's just piss poor. Like, when you're looking at it, it's Market Movers that has done this, and Market Movers need to fix it and actually come out and say, we took inspiration, or, you know what, we didn't. But yeah, maybe the video idea they didn't take inspiration for, because it is coincidental, but the thumbnail very much looks like they did, in my opinion. I'm rambling. Share your thoughts down below. This stuff is pretty crappy to see, especially in a niche as small as ours, where you've got people out there working their butts off to make content, especially the guys that do this for a living. They put all this effort in, they try and get the attention, and then a bigger channel comes in and just overrules them and gets all the attention for themselves. And in this particular instance, Troy's video got 184,000 views. Clearly it's done very, very well, which is why people are trying to copy it. But many other examples in the past where, you know, channels haven't got any traction at all, because the big dog has come in and taken it for them. And it's just a pretty clear indicator of the rest of the crap that happens in this hobby too, where you've got people at the forefront doing whatever they can to make themselves look good. There's a lot of self-interest, and they're pushing everybody down at the same sort of time. At the end of the day, This is a hobby. We're meant to help each other out. That's what a hobby is there to do. It's a community. You know, pick yourselves up along with your mates and you can both be good at the same time, right? Shout out him, shout out them, and you'll get a shout out yourself eventually one day, right? It's a community. Help each other out is the point I'm trying to make. I'm rambling. I'll see you guys in the next one. Cheers.